OutDaughtered, Danielle and Adam Busby celebrate Blayke turning 10. She hit the double digits, full direct script. So if you've been keeping up with OutDaughtered, then you already know one thing for sure: time is flying faster than we can even process. Because guess what? Danielle and Adam Busby's oldest daughter, Blayke, is officially 10 years old, and honestly, that feels unreal. Yes, the little girl who once looked like a tiny big sister trying to figure out how to handle 5 baby quints running around the house has now officially entered a whole new era. And as Danielle Busby herself said, Blayke has officially hit the double digits. And let's be real here, turning 10 is a huge deal. It's not just another birthday. It's one of those milestone ages that makes parents stop, take a deep breath, and suddenly get emotional because it feels like their baby is growing up overnight. And that is exactly what happened with Danielle and Adam. The Busby family has been through so much over the years, raising 6 kids, handling the chaos of a big family, being in the spotlight on TLC, and still trying to keep everything as normal as possible. But when it comes to Blayke, there's always something extra special about her birthdays, because she's not only the oldest child, she's also the first one who made Danielle and Adam parents. And this year, the celebration was full of love, pride, and yes, a little bit of that emotional "where did the time go?" energy that every parent understands. Now, if you know the Busbys, you know they love celebrating big moments. They don't do things halfway. Whether it's a holiday, a family trip, or a birthday party, they always make it memorable. And Blayke's 10th birthday was no exception. Danielle and Adam were clearly in their feelings, and they couldn't help but share their excitement with fans. Because this wasn't just about cake and presents. This was about celebrating a girl who has grown into such a confident, sweet, and responsible young lady. Blayke has always been the big sister in the family in the truest sense of the word. She's been helping with the quints practically since they were born. And even though she didn't ask to grow up with all that responsibility, she handled it with so much maturity and love. It's honestly one of the reasons why so many fans have always admired her. And now, seeing her turn 10, it's like watching a chapter close and another chapter begin. Now, Danielle Busby, as always, took to social media to share her thoughts, and she made it clear that she was feeling emotional about the moment. She posted a heartfelt message celebrating Blayke, and the words "double digits" hit hard because it's true. Once a kid turns 10, it feels like they're no longer a little child. They're entering that preteen stage, where their personality becomes even more defined. They start becoming more independent. They start caring more about friendships, school, hobbies, and even fashion. And for parents, that can be both exciting and terrifying. Danielle has always been open about how much she loves being a mom, but she's also been honest about how fast everything moves. And this birthday was a reminder of just how quickly Blayke has grown up. It feels like just yesterday she was a small little girl with big eyes, standing next to her parents while Danielle was pregnant with the quints. And now she's 10. It's honestly mind-blowing. Now, what makes Blayke's story even more special is that she grew up in a family that's anything but ordinary. Most kids grow up with one sibling, or maybe 2. But Blayke? She grew up with 5 little sisters, all the same age, all born at once. That kind of upbringing shapes a kid. And you can tell Blayke has developed this strong sense of responsibility, patience, and kindness because of it. Fans of the show have watched her grow into this calm, loving big sister who always seems to be there when the quints need her. And Danielle and Adam have always made it clear that they appreciate Blayke so much. They've talked many times about how she's such a blessing and how she helps keep the family together. But at the same time, they've also tried to make sure she gets her own spotlight, because it's easy for the oldest child to feel overlooked when 5 younger siblings are constantly demanding attention. And this birthday? It was definitely her moment. Because turning 10 is something you only do once. Now, Adam Busby also shared his own message, and if you know Adam, you know he can get emotional when it comes to his daughters. He's always been that dad who proudly posts pictures and talks about how much he loves his girls. And with Blayke turning 10, he couldn't help but reflect on how much she has grown. He shared sweet photos and heartfelt words, basically letting the world know how proud he is of the young lady she's becoming. And honestly, you can tell that Blayke has a special bond with Adam. We've seen it on the show. Blayke often connects with him in a way that feels like she's his little buddy. And Adam clearly loves spending time with her. There's something really touching about the way Adam talks about Blayke because you can tell he doesn't just see her as his child. He sees her as someone who is becoming her own person. And that's what turning 10 symbolizes. It's that age where you're still a kid, but you're starting to grow into who you will be. Now, the birthday celebration itself was filled with fun, family vibes, and plenty of love. And if there's one thing the Busbys do well, it's making birthdays feel magical. From decorations to gifts to fun moments with the sisters, everything about it looked like a warm family celebration. And, of course, the Quints were part of the excitement too. Because imagine being the Quints. You have an older sister who is basically like your second mom sometimes, and now she's turning 10. That's a big deal in their world. You can bet they were excited, running around, laughing, and probably fighting over who gets to hug her first. And we all know how the Quints can be. They're adorable, but they're also wild. But Blayke has always handled them with so much patience. And it's one of those things where you just know Danielle and Adam are grateful for her every single day. Now, fans also noticed something really interesting about this milestone birthday. Blayke turning 10 really makes you realize just how long OutDaughtered has been part of our lives. Because the show began when the Quints were tiny, and Blayke was still so young. And now here we are, watching her turn 10, while the Quints are growing up too. It's like we've watched an entire decade of their family's life unfold in front of us. And whether people watch the show regularly or just keep up through social media, it still feels emotional to see. Because Blayke has always been one of the most relatable kids on reality TV. She's never acted spoiled, she's never seemed overly dramatic, and she's always come across as sweet and grounded. And honestly, that says a lot about Danielle and Adam as parents. Because raising 6 kids is not easy, especially in the spotlight. And yet, Blayke seems like she's growing up with a strong sense of values. Now, Danielle Busby also made sure to highlight Blayke's personality and what makes her special. Because Blayke isn't just the oldest. She's not just the big sister. She's her own person. She has her own interests, her own style, her own attitude, and her own dreams. And fans have seen that she has a creative side too. She enjoys different activities, and she's always been a kid who seems curious about the world. And as she gets older, it's going to be really interesting to see what she becomes passionate about. Because let's be honest, Blayke has grown up with so much love and support. She has parents who clearly adore her. And she has sisters who look up to her like she's the coolest person ever. That kind of environment builds confidence. Now, of course, turning 10 also comes with its own changes. At 10, kids start thinking differently. They start caring about what their friends think. They start becoming more independent. And they start wanting a little more privacy. So, it's very possible that Blayke is entering a stage where she wants to be less on camera or less in the public eye. And honestly, if that happens, fans would understand. Because growing up in the spotlight can be challenging. But at the same time, the Busbys have always tried to balance sharing their family life with protecting their children. They've talked about boundaries before, and they've made it clear that their kids' well-being comes first. So, even though Blayke is a big part of the show, it's clear that Danielle and Adam will always prioritize what's best for her. Now, another thing that made Blayke's birthday celebration even more emotional is that Danielle has been open about her own health struggles. Over the years, fans have seen Danielle deal with different health issues, stress, and exhaustion. And being a mom of 6, especially with the demanding lifestyle they have, can be overwhelming. So, moments like Blayke turning 10 remind Danielle of how important family is. It reminds her that even though life can be chaotic, even though there are struggles, these moments are worth everything. And you could feel that emotion in her message. Because when a mother talks about her child hitting double digits, it's not just about age. It's about memories. It's about remembering when they were a baby, holding their tiny hands, hearing their first words, watching them take their first steps. It's about remembering the sleepless nights, the school drop-offs, the birthdays, the family trips, the tears, and the laughter. It's about realizing that time never slows down. And suddenly, your baby is 10. Now, Fans of OutDaughtered also know that Blayke has always been a little bit different from her sisters, simply because she's older. She doesn't have a twin-like bond with someone her age in the house. The Quints all have each other. They're the same age, they go through the same phases at the same time, and they share everything. But Blayke? She's alone in her age group. So, Danielle and Adam have always tried to make sure she feels special. They've taken her on little trips, given her one-on-one time, and made sure she has opportunities to do things that are just for her. And turning 10 is definitely one of those moments where they wanted to show her just how loved she is. Now, as Blayke grows older, the relationship between her and the Quints will also evolve. Because right now, she's the big sister who helps and guides them. But as the Quints get older, they'll start becoming more independent too. They'll start developing their own personalities even more. And Blayke will shift into a role where she's not just a helper, but more like a mentor and friend. And that dynamic is going to be beautiful to watch. Because the Busby sisters have a bond that's truly unique. Not every family gets to experience that. Now, fans also couldn't help but comment on how fast the years have gone. Many people shared emotional messages saying things like, "I can't believe she's 10 already, and it feels like yesterday she was just a little girl." And honestly, they're right. The Busbys have become one of the most beloved reality TV families because they feel real. They're not perfect. They argue sometimes. They struggle. They get stressed. But they always show love. And Blayke's birthday celebration was another reminder of that. Now, what makes this birthday even more meaningful is that Blayke has grown up watching her parents build something huge. Danielle and Adam have built a life that's centered around family. They've built businesses. They've built a brand. They've built a home full of love. And Blayke has been there through all of it. She has watched her parents work hard. She has watched her mom and dad handle challenges. She has watched them raise 5 babies at once. And that kind of upbringing creates a strong kid. Blayke has likely learned resilience at a young age. She's learned responsibility. She's learned patience. And she's learned how to be part of a team. Because in the Busby household, everyone plays a role. Now, the phrase "hit the double digits" may sound simple, but it carries so much meaning. Because it's a reminder that childhood is moving forward. Blayke is no longer in the single-digit stage. She's officially stepping into that age where she starts thinking about bigger things. At 10, kids begin to dream differently. They start thinking about what they want to be when they grow up. They start exploring hobbies seriously. They start developing a stronger identity. And Danielle and Adam are clearly proud to watch that happen. Now, the birthday celebration also likely included some special gifts, and fans were curious about what Blayke got. Because let's be honest, turning 10 is the age where kids start wanting big kid presents. They're not just excited about toys anymore. They start wanting things like electronics, clothes, room decor, art supplies, maybe even their first phone. And considering the Busbys' lifestyle, it wouldn't be surprising if Blayke got something really exciting. But more than gifts, it's clear that what mattered most was the love and attention she received. Because Blayke seems like the kind of kid who values family moments. She seems like she enjoys being with her parents and sisters. And the Busbys are really good at making their kids feel loved. Now, another thing that stood out about Blayke turning 10 is that it makes fans wonder how the future of OutDaughtered will look. Because as the kids get older, the show changes. When the Quints were babies, the show was all about diapers, bottles, and chaos. But now the Quints are older, they have school activities, sports, friendships, and their own personalities. And Blayke is now entering a stage where she might start wanting more independence. So, the show is evolving. And fans are excited to see what comes next. Because Blayke is growing into an age where she can express herself more. She can speak her mind more. And she can become an even bigger part of the family story. Now, Danielle has always been a mom who loves capturing memories. She loves posting photos, writing emotional captions, and sharing milestones. And you can tell she's the kind of mother who truly cherishes every moment. So, Blayke's 10th birthday wasn't just a celebration. It was a moment of reflection, a moment of gratitude, a moment of realizing how blessed they are. Because even though parenting is exhausting, even though raising 6 kids is chaotic, Moments like this remind them why it's all worth it. Now, if we think about Blayke's journey, it's honestly inspiring. She's grown up in a family that is constantly busy, constantly loud, constantly full of energy. And yet, she has remained calm, sweet, and mature. And fans have always admired her for that. Now, what's even more touching is that Blayke has always shown love for her sisters. She's never acted jealous. She's never seemed resentful. And that's impressive, because it would be easy for a child to feel overshadowed when 5 younger siblings are constantly in the spotlight. But Blayke has handled it beautifully. And that says a lot about her character. Now, Danielle and Adam also know that Blayke is entering a stage where life will start changing quickly. Soon she'll be in middle school. Soon she'll be dealing with more responsibilities. Soon she'll be growing into a teenager. And for parents, that's both exciting and emotional, because it means they'll have to adjust their parenting style. They'll have to give her more freedom. They'll have to trust her more. And they'll have to prepare for the challenges that come with adolescence. But if there's one thing we know, it's that Danielle and Adam are deeply involved parents. They're not the type to just let their kids figure everything out alone. They're always there, guiding them, supporting them, and loving them. And Blayke is lucky to have that. Now, fans also couldn't help but mention how beautiful Blayke has grown up to be. And yes, she truly is. She has that natural Busby charm. She looks like a perfect mix of Danielle and Adam. And she has that bright smile that makes her stand out. But beyond looks, it's her personality that shines. She's kind, thoughtful, and caring. And you can tell she's growing into a wonderful young lady. Now, one of the sweetest things about Blayke turning 10 is seeing how proud her parents are. Danielle and Adam often post about their kids, but when it comes to Blayke, there's always an extra layer of emotion. Because she was their first. She was the one who made them mom and dad. She was the beginning of everything. And now she's 10. That's a full decade of parenting. A full decade of memories. A full decade of love. And you can tell they're grateful. Now, it's also worth mentioning that Blayke's birthday celebration was likely filled with laughter and chaos, because let's be honest, there's no such thing as a quiet moment in the Busby household. With 5 quints running around, there's always something happening. Someone is always laughing, someone is always talking, someone is always doing something silly. And that's what makes their family so entertaining and lovable. Blayke probably had moments where she just looked around like, wow, this is my life. Because having 5 younger sisters is not normal. But for Blayke, it's her everyday reality. And honestly, she handles it like a champ. Now, as Blayke enters her double-digit era, fans are excited to see what the future holds for her. Will she develop new hobbies? Will she get into sports? Will she become interested in music, dance, art, or acting? Will she take on a leadership role in school? There are so many possibilities. And considering her personality, it wouldn't be surprising if she becomes someone who inspires others. Because she already has a strong sense of responsibility and maturity. Now, Danielle and Adam also likely use this birthday as a chance to remind Blayke how special she is. Because being the oldest child can sometimes feel like a lot. It can come with pressure. It can come with expectations. But the Busbys seem to understand that Blayke needs to be a kid too. She needs time to have fun, to relax, to enjoy her childhood. And this birthday celebration was probably a reminder of that. A reminder that she deserves joy, attention, and love. Now, what makes this story so heartwarming is that it reminds us why OutDaughtered has remained so popular. It's not just about the quints. It's about family. It's about love. It's about watching kids grow up. And Blayke turning 10 is one of those moments that hits fans emotionally because it feels like we've all watched her grow. Now, in the end, Danielle's message about Blayke hitting the double digits was simple but powerful. Because it wasn't just a birthday shout-out. It was a proud mom moment, a proud dad moment, a family moment, and it showed just how much Blayke means to them. And honestly, the best part about this entire celebration is that you can tell Blayke is loved deeply. She's supported, she's cherished, and she's surrounded by a family that celebrates her. Now, as she enters this new chapter of her life, One thing is for sure, Blayke Busby is going to continue growing into an amazing young lady. And fans will continue cheering her on. Because if there's one thing everyone agrees on, it's that Blayke deserves all the love and happiness in the world. So, happy 10th birthday to Blayke Busby, the Busby family's first baby, the big sister of 5 quints, the girl who truly has been a star in her own way since the beginning. And now, she's officially in the double digits. And honestly, that's a moment worth celebrating.